everybody. I thought I had the remote fixed, but apparently not. I got another one. I'll have to hook it up. Perrin Lovett here for another edition of the Prepper Post News, courtesy of Freedom Prepper. And this is Thursday, January 28th, 2021. I'd like to say hello to everybody on YouTube at freedomprepper.com, freedompreppercommunity.com, and everybody listening to the podcast at Anchor and Spotify, and everywhere else that the podcast is heard. I also want to give a shout out to all of the folks who follow Solars.net, Randy's site. So glad to be on 5 days a week. Flattered. We saw that, I guess this weekend, maybe there was some sort of WordPress problem, and I see that's been resolved. I don't know Randy, but seems like a really good guy. So welcome everybody. Today we've got, I'm not sure if this is going to be a long or a short show, but the feature it's very important, and it kind of flows into the rest of the news, and it's back to the war that is currently being waged on Christians in the United States and all across the West, and technically all across the world. I discussed this yesterday with someone, and he pointed out rightly that, this is nothing new. We know that. Matter of fact, this is essentially what we were promised would happen. But it's still good to stay on top of it, and to, while we accept that it's ongoing, we need to understand it, and to understand that it's ongoing. And when we can do things about it, we should. I start out with Bill Sardi wrote a great column that ran at Lou Rockwell's site. I've got that linked up. All the links at freedomprepper.com. And it's a warning to churches of all stripes and all Christians to pay attention to what has been allowed, mainly by the churches and by Christians, in the past year or so. And it's not just the past year. It's the past 50 years, the past 100 years. If you want to be technical, it's the past 2,000 years. But lately, last year, there were some major changes that were almost taken to be the new gospel. I've got quite a few quotes here I'm going to go through today. What he says is, he's talking about the great event of 2020. Few church leaders foresee there is no return to normal. The church is a target for extermination. That's a strong word. He's serious because the enemy is serious. Now we're assured that won't work, but it doesn't mean they're not going to keep trying. The virologist already attempted to cancel Christmas. Remember that? In the Christmas play, the three wise men would have been super spreaders. The cancel culture will predictably encourage believers to ghost Easter, and every Sunday too. Most church leaders are unaware of the agenda proposed by the World Economic Forum. That's the Davos group operating out of Switzerland. If it has world in the title, usually a bad thing. The World Economic Forum has religious institutions in its crosshairs. According to their website, religion is outdated. I'm going to get into that in a second. For example, they say the church is slow to adapt to homosexuality. And even though the Bible addresses this, he says over 3 centuries ago, maybe his version did, Paul addressed that at the beginning, as did Jesus, as did God, thousands of years ago. Christians are not to condone sin and to love righteousness. They're to do the opposite, which is basically to give up their religion. To urge repentance. And he asked, what is the godless World Economic Forum doing? Are they giving instructions to the church? And the answer obviously is yes. The sad thing is, with all of this craziness that's happened lately, no one really had to give instructions. The churches, all denominations, at least in America and Canada and Europe, Australia, New Zealand, all across the West, they just preemptively locked down and locked the doors and locked the faithful out. And even now, if you're allowed back in, they really want you. They want you watching services on YouTube and Facebook, because those are obviously Christian institutions. They don't want you in the building. If you do come, they'll let 15 people in. You stagger out pews, one person per pew, staggered out. No communion. Get in, get out, wear your mask, and don't talk to anybody. I've got a link also to the World Economic Forum, their open forum, which was a video discussion. I didn't even bother to watch the video. Just the summary here I'm going to read you, and a quick glance at the people presenting told me and the fact that it's the World Forum presenting this to the Davos crowd, the Illuminati in Switzerland. The forum is called "Is Religion Outdated in the 21st Century?" And that's always one of the themes. It's a new day, it's a new year. What happened yesterday is outdated. Here's all the new stuff. Worship this. And do keep in mind, when these Satanists say religion, 9 out of 10 times they mean Christianity. It's funny how they don't go after most other world religions. In the absolute absence of Christian, I guess they will target a Muslim, but nobody else. It's mainly us that they're after. Here's the summary of this expose on getting rid of Christianity in the 21st century. Oh, by the way, if you click the link and start looking around, you don't even have to read what they're about and who they are. Every article, every section of their webpage has a picture. Just the pictures you can see. These are technocrats that just want to take over everything. They want everything, and they either want you dead, exterminated, as Sardi said, or as a slave. They just don't want you living a righteous life or getting in their way, which is kind of one and the same. Here's what they say. While religions, meaning Christianity, are the oldest institutions in the world, they are the slowest to respond to modern issues such as drugs, homosexual sodomy, and the changing family relationship. As we move into the second decade of the 21st century, seems like this would be the third, it is important to re-examine the place religion holds in the world today. The dimensions to be addressed in the video forum. 1, are we becoming a multi-faith society, or one where many have no faith at all? 2, and I'll answer these. It's becoming a unitary faith. It's Luciferianism, whether you call it that or not, whether you think you're serving or not. From our perspective, it's no faith, but these anti-religious people do adhere to their religion, and they want everybody else to follow it too, even if you don't know you're following it. 2, how are religious institutions helping instill tolerance and values in society? Well, the values we know. Western civilization is predominantly dependent on the existence of Christianity. You take that out, the whole thing falls. Tolerance is, if it's tolerance of differences between us, differences of opinion, that's fine. What they're talking about is accepting Satanism, and in that sense, tolerance is a sin. Paul was crystal clear about that, as are many examples from the Gospels and out of the Old Testament. Take a look at what happened to Israel every time they decided to tolerate something. Something bad always happened to them. 3, how can we reconcile the trends in society's evolution with religious beliefs? The good stuff we can, the other stuff we can't. It's that simple. And how can we foster freedom of speech? That's a trick. And at the same time, religious freedom. These are the people that demanded free speech for themselves so they could push evil and shut everybody else up. So that was just a trick. And getting back to the things that, religion just doesn't address, these modern problems that just popped up out of nowhere. I mean, it was just 1999, drugs, homosexuality, and different families all of a sudden showed up. Now, all of that stuff was around forever, and the church has done an authoritative job in dealing with it. They just don't like the way they've dealt with it. So let me know what you think. This isn't the the Bible hour, the Bible 9 minutes. I want to know what you think in the comments. I've got other related stories I'll get into now. War stories, not the kind that people really want to talk about. And I've got a link to a partial report on oppression of Christians worldwide just for December of 2020. And this comes from Gatestone Research. I noticed that, and it's quite a few, and these are outright attacks, murders, massacres, terrible things. None of them are based out of the U.S. You do have, they're all over the place: Asia, Europe, the Middle East, Africa. None of the U.S. attacks, and there were some, made the list. I noticed that this site, it's slanted. Most of the stories, at least for December of 2020, were slanted against Islamic persecution of Christians. That happens. That happened in December. But I would suggest that in the West, Muslims are not the primary foe of Christians. In fact, sadly, the primary foe of Jesus Christ in the West is probably people that call themselves Christians and then drift away. Take a look at that. And just, this is very similar to the California Baptist church bombing, or, pick your church that gets shot up somewhere. These are outright attacks. But the real martial damage has been done slowly and stealthily to these institutions and to the people in them without violence. It's just the slow changing of doctrines. If you want to, take the Baptist, look at the split going on right now in the Southern Baptist. They just constantly driving people apart or causing people to drive themselves apart. I've got, as a follow-up, I found 2 essays from the good side by Anthony Eslon. These are both from September, and I've got some really good quotes here. In the first one, I forgot the title of these. In the first one, this is the short quote. He identifies, we know who the dark prince of this world is, but the manifestation is kind of a 3-headed fake god that really appeals to people. That's why it's so dangerous. The 3 fake godheads are the self, sex, and the state. And most people, particularly people, geared towards politics, immediately look at the state. What's the law say? What's going on with politics? Is my guy going to win? Is my team winning? Oh no, they we lost. Everything's over. The self, the take of the individual take on the world is much more important. And obviously, sex is a way in, especially deviant sex, because it's so easy, and it's a topic that everybody likes. So it's a ready inroad to corrupt everything. I'll just move on to that one. The next one is not directly related. Well, actually it is. I've got some more stories that directly tie to this. But this is about fixing the problem by first acknowledging what the problem is with all of these sexual sins and attacks on the family. Remember, changing family relationships, meaning to get rid of the nuclear family. But they want to get rid of the family, the community, and the nation, and destroy everything, stealing all the value for themselves. He wrote this essay about saving the family, and he had a quote. Let me just read this to you. When Saint Jose Achita was preaching to the natives in Brazil, he met a well-respected old lady who asked for her favorite snack as she lay dying. She wanted fingers, not just any fingers, children's fingers. That is how I think such abominations as Drag Queen Story Hour, I think of such abominations. Drag Queen Story Hour, they are our form of children's fingers. I do not mean that the queens are cannibals. They are not savage and bloodthirsty, yet in some ways they are worse. They are not the inheritors of an evil custom, they are the initiators of one. And I make the argument, yeah, they are cannibals. Yeah, they are bloodthirsty. Literally, the next step will start to involve gastronomy or cannibalism. We've already seen that within the past 100 years. We had an outbreak of that in Europe. So this old lady, I guess she was a pagan, wanted to eat parts of children. These people want your kid. They want the bodies, the souls, the minds. That's why they have these demonic presentations that most mainstream churches haven't commented on. The news certainly won't tell you about these things. I thought that fit well because these are the ultimate wreckers of family life. And at least in the United States, Canada, and Western Europe, they're getting a pass. We're told, well, we need to be tolerant. Look, it's funny. They're like clowns. They're entertaining the kids. Grooming. They're grooming so they can prepare them like a brisket. Tell me what you think about that too. And Eastern Europe is they're on the ball to the point that their elected officials are directly calling this out for what it is, and they are not standing for it. Period. So praise God for Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, and the rest. All right, shifting gears to other stories. This is the one that's related to the finger eaters of our time. Dr. Roberts linked up two stories. I've got a link to his website for these. One is from the Daily Mail. In the UK, they're teaching the school kids that there are 100 genders. Now, I think that's bigoted because I've also heard there's more like 1,000. It's not 2 anymore. This is the 21st century. 100 genders. So it's okay to be confused. It's okay to give yourself up to the freak in the makeup who wants to eat you. They just never stop. And the second one is a speculative, I guess, video that he found. He flatly said that he had not really checked it out, could not verify its accuracy, but it's about the normalization and the legalization of pedophilia. And I didn't look at it either. I'm tired of stuff like this, but I've seen plenty of other stuff, and this phenomenon is real. It's the current push. Molesting today, eating tomorrow. And just take a look at that. He titles it, how low can we sink? And we've got to be getting pretty close to the bottom. But still, there are still some people that stand up for us, even if she is not necessarily one of us. Tulsi Gabbard back in the news again. In a couple of stories, I just found one at InfoWars. She's one of the few people in Washington challenging the new regime. She point blank asked Joe Biden, the president, if he had instituted martial law. She said, why do we have thousands of troops hanging around Washington? Why are they going to be here now through March? What is this? Are we under military rule now? And she also does a really good job of defending ordinary, normal Americans against this coming Patriot Act 2.0, in which normal, ordinary Americans will be classified as terrorists, the way Creepy Joe already has, already defined us. So not everybody on the other side is really on the other side. Thank goodness that she, at least, is standing up, even when our side won't. Strange times. And again, Democrats, you had better choices. Not that choices matter anymore. Sorry. Choices don't matter with money. They do still. Money is still important. They're going to digitize it, or at least they want to. The Davos group is, along with Brussels and the Fed, they're pushing steadily towards a universal chip or something to so you don't ever have to handle all that dirty cash. Handling it meaning being able to possess it your way. It'll be in their system forever. 2020 gave us a lot of strange things. Microsoft News put up a link to somebody's story about 2020 seeing the largest rise in poverty in the United States in over 50 years. I wonder why. I wonder how anybody could be in poverty with all these new jobs not being created because we've locked down the economy for a year to kind of cover up some of the existing structural problems that nobody's going to address, crashing down on us. And God bless you if you're struggling to get by right now. Soon, a few more years of increase, it'll be all of us. They want us eating bugs and weeds until we expire. But maybe things have gone too far. I had this theory that as soon as the election was over, the way they wanted it to be, the way they had programmed it to be, that the pandemic would suddenly just vanish. And it's starting to look that way, I guess, because the vaccine is working so well. So they got Joe in the White House, and all of a sudden, you remember back at Christmas, they wanted to cancel Christmas, and they, just like Thanksgiving and the Sturgis rally and everything else that wasn't an Antifa riot. If you get together with people, especially your family or your church, you're going to be a super spreader, and we're going to have this wave. The 10th wave is going to come out of Christmas. And just a few weeks ago, they were talking about, California, the new wave has started because of Christmas, because of you people that wouldn't obey. Now all of a sudden in California and Michigan and some other states, it's a miracle. The cases are gone. They're all just magically going away the way the flu did, and we can lift the lockdowns now. We still want you stepping and fetching the way we tell you to, but please get back to running a business if you still can, because we don't want this thing to fully collapse. They figured out that a year is about as far as they can push it, but now it's all over. It's all over. I mean, probably by the summertime, until they come up with the next one, and I'm sure it's already planned and sitting there waiting to go, this one is practically over. How convenient, but it is a great miracle. I trust science. Dr. Chicken Little Fauci earning every penny of his $417,608 salary. A lot of money. I just threw this one in here. A lot of killing, a lot of death. We started off last year with the, call it the murder or the assassination, the drone strike killing of General Qasem Soleimani of Iran. And a lot of people speculated as to why that was done, how that was done, which laws it violated, and so forth. In the past, we could forget about it, except that information always leaks out. Why? Why was he killed in whatever manner, legal or otherwise? Well, I've got a story from the Middle East Observer. You've got to go to the Middle East to get your facts now. And you've got to rely on the Secretary General of Hezbollah to tell you the truth. He had an interview, and he gave first or second-hand information that it was Soleimani who a few years ago convinced Vladimir Putin to intervene in Syria and save Syria from Western destruction. And maybe it was that humiliation that caused the murder. They have a lot of respect for the general. We used to, because he used to be one of our allies. He's the guy that put us on the Taliban immediately while advising us to mind our own business, but he helped us out. He kept ISIS on the run, to include on the run in Syria and Iraq, and then they killed him, just like people are getting beat down and killed in America. This is the final word. Keep your guard up. These are the kind of stories that are so ubiquitous now in this insane age and country. I normally don't report on them, but for some reason, these two just jumped out at me. Up in New York, we had a guy just got off the bus or the train. He was in Chinatown, and he was immediately attacked by a mob that stripped him naked, beat him down, cut him up, and stole his phone. Stole a phone. Only in America. Only in America. But that's not the worst of it. The worst is out of Lake Charles, Louisiana, where WBRZ Channel 2 tells us that 4 teenage girls, ages 12, 13, and 14, I think, have been arrested for stabbing a 15-year-old girl to death in a local Walmart with a knife that they stole from Walmart. Why? Well, yeah. It's like bombs going off in Nashville or people getting shot at a concert in Las Vegas. We'll never know why. We know why, but we'll never be told why. The police were quick to dismiss this, put distance between them, themselves, and what happened. They said it's a weapons problem. It's a kitchen knife. You know, are we England now? Are we going to start banning blades? Probably. And also it's a parental problem. They're dead right about that. It's also a massive societal problem. They're part of it as much as the parents and the rest of us. How do we get through this? Time will put all of these issues behind us. But for now, keep your eyes open. And when you're out in public, whether it's in, small town Louisiana or the big cities, Keep your eyes open and your guard up. And don't have the remote. It's time to go, friends. I'll see you guys back tomorrow, which will be Friday. A great Friday show. Have a great day, and God bless.